thank you again for this introduction, and thank you for having me here. So as it's been already mentioned, I'm going to present Lithuania's, but not only Lithuania's, experience in using design contest as a method to procure innovative solutions in the public sector. Just to give you a bit of a background why we in Lithuania started looking for the procurement methods which would allow us to support our activities. I'm coming from GovTech Lab, and just so we are all on the same page, GovTech, we consider GovTech an intersection between different public sector problems as healthcare, education, mobility, all the public services, and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, data, virtual reality, and all the others. As GovTech is a merge between those two fields. And we, GovTech Lab Lithuania, I may still be using the word we are doing, although for a week now I'm not the part of GovTech Lab Lithuania, but I'm still staying in the field. So GovTech Lab Lithuania is a team in public sector that encourages the creation and use of those innovative digital technologies in public sector organizations. And the team is doing that by providing the methods, tools, approaches, and resources to use technology to solve the challenges the public sector has already, or the challenges they'll have in the future. And GovTech Lab has several activities and products. I'm going to share you the overview so you understand what they're doing. And if you're interested, you can reach out to them. First activity pillar is about helping to solve GovTech challenges. And there are several activities there. First and most important one is GovTech Challenge Series, which I'm going to explain later. And this is the reason we are actually started looking for innovation procurement methods. We're also starting this year working on AI Sandbox and European EU GovTech Incubator, GovTech for All project, where we're also using this design contest method. The second pillar is building GovTech community with the conferences, annual conferences, Public Sector Innovators Breakfast Club, GovTech Global Alliance, which was already mentioned, and also GovTech Lab as a product. We are supporting other countries to build similar labs in other countries and to run similar processes. And the third one is improving public sector innovation skills. That's being done by GovTech Innovation Academy, GovTech study visits abroad, and also GovTech roadshows in Lithuanian municipalities. But as I've mentioned, I'm going to explain you GovTech Challenge Series, which is the main activity in GovTech Lab. And it's a structured innovation process that facilitates cooperation between the public sector and startups to build digital solutions which would solve the challenges GovTech public sector organizations have. And during this process, we're going from complex challenges to innovative pilots. And it happens through several stages. At the beginning, the team is selecting the problems public sector has, and the problems which don't have the exact answer yet, the exact solution. Then those problems are transformed into the challenge. So it's also interesting for the private sector to take part in solving this challenge. Then we're going into team and idea selection. Then when the best idea and team is selected, they're going into pilot development, and in the end, demo day and scaling up. So this whole process takes around like 6 to 9 months. The pilot development around 3 to 6, depending on different cohorts. GovTech Labs team is now at 7th iteration of this process, and the whole process is being done by a structured co-creation program where both the public sector and the private are supported by different workshops in how to participate in the procurement, or to how to transform this problem into the challenge. And also during the pilot development, the team is working with both sides, so the pilot is as successful as possible. And during first 3 iterations, we are doing that outside the procurement framework. And there were actually many very very interesting teams which were coming and planning even to work pro bono for developing of this pilot. But at the same time, we saw frustration on both sides to work for free. In the end, nor the public sector got their solution if this was done outside the procurement framework, nor the private sector was happy, of course, for working for free. So we started looking for the best procurement method to support this process. And we saw that procurement methods usually used in the innovation procurement, like pre-commercial procurement or innovation dialogue, are not suitable in this case due to very strict regulations on the procurement in Lithuania. But I'm going to tell you about it in a while. So we saw that, like, it's obvious that there is a lot of innovation from startups and innovative SMEs that does not reach the public sector due to the very long procurement processes. In many cases, price carries too much weight in the award criteria, so we are procuring the cheapest solution but not the most innovative one or the best one actually in the end. And in some cases, we don't know what we want to procure. So there are several barriers to buy innovation. So we don't know the solution to the problem and the technical functionalities. Innovative procurements or public procurements of innovation, like pre-commercial procurement, is not suited for high TRLs. And in many cases, we see that there are many solutions which are already in the market, which like business is using, but we are not able then to use those, like at least in Lithuania, with very strict procurement rules. If we don't have this R&D process, we are not able to use those procurement methods to procure the solution, very innovative solution, which may be already on the market. We are not able to use this innovation procurement methods. Traditional procurements does not allow to pilot and test innovative solution before buying. In many cases, it's not allowed to pilot and then scale up with the same provider. It's not allowed in Lithuania, but then design contest rules of design contest allows to do that. So in Spain, for example. And startups and challenges need agile processes. So we also needed to find out the best procurement method for that. So what is a design contest? It's a method traditionally used in design works and architecture. So for example, when there's a municipality who has some space and wants to build a school, they don't need to specify how big the school should be, like what color of the walls, how many doors or windows there should be, but architects can come up with their own ideas. So this criteria are quite broad, and the specification is also quite broad. So it should be a school for 500 kids, let's say, and then architects can come up with their own, can come up with their creative ideas there. Or, for example, your national team is going to Olympics, and you need to procure the outfit for them. So also the designers can come up with the best, with their most creative ideas through this procurement process. It enables the contracting authority to acquire a plan or design after being put to competition. And also you can give prizes with payments prior to the contract, so you can, and also this procurement method allows you to follow up negotiated procedure without publication after seeing the best ideas and giving them the prizes. So why design contest? It creates openness to different solutions and allows to collect the best concepts without broader, very detailed requirements, as I mentioned, as it is in architecture. It can be continued with the best idea into negotiated procedure without publication after you see what the market can offer with the best idea, or you can go into negotiated procedure and then sign the contract, and you don't need to run an additional procurement. And the jury's evaluation criteria can be more flexible, so you can evaluate the innovativeness of the idea, how user-friendly it is, how sustainable the solution is, which is very difficult to implement in regular procurements. I've already mentioned prizes. So prizes, we see that prizes encourage smaller players and startups to participate. And we see in Lithuania many small companies like innovative SMEs and startups, or even students creating startups to participate in those procurements, who have never been like participating prior to that in the procurements, or would never consider working with the public sector due to the very difficult procurement methods, because even if they don't win the full contract, they can get 1 or 2 or 5,000 euros, and it's enough to pay for the for preparing the proposal, even if they don't win the full contract. Also, the solutions and the proposals are evaluated anonymously. So you don't know if it's a big company like Microsoft-owned company or it's a small startup. And it actually allows you to select the best idea and not have the biases towards the big tech. I already mentioned that it can be used for pilots or full-scale solutions, which is impossible in many cases to use with pre-commercial procurement, because you cannot procure something which is already like full-scale and final solution. And I've mentioned no burden of proof for the need of innovation, and this was the main the main idea why we started using it in Lithuania, because in many cases it's an innovation for the public sector, but not for the private sector, and private sector is already using many of those solutions. There are several ways how this procurement method can work, and I know two, because I've been working with Lithuanian, and this format A is a Lithuanian one. Format B will be about Spain. And unfortunately, we are not able to use this method in Lithuania, but I'm going to explain shortly how it looks. So you open a call with open procurement specification. I'm going to tell about it in a second, what should be included there. And you open an idea submission. Then you select top 3 ideas. This is how we are doing that in Lithuania. Then those ideas share the prize fund. It can be 10 to 20% of the whole procurement value, and the best proposal wins the prize, and both the prize and the contract. It can also be followed, like you can go into negotiated procedure without publication with 3 top ideas, 3 top suppliers. But then we did that once in Lithuania, and with around 40 procurements in 2021, but we saw that 99% still choose for the full-scale contract the top one idea, and it prolongs the procurement for almost 2 months, this negotiated procedure. Now Lithuanian organizations are skipping it and just going into contract with the best idea. And we are also talking here about pilot solution. So then when the best proposal is being chosen, they're going into negotiated contract without publication, which includes the technical specification and the submitted proposal. But in Spain, they have more flexibility, so they also start with the open procurement specification. Then at least in Catalonia, this is the case from Catalonia. They've been running it several times now. Top 5 ideas present a pilot proposal, and the best proposal wins. Then the prize, and here we are talking, they are piloting during the prize stage. So the first payment is 25,000 euros. We're using also 50,000, around 55,000 euros in Lithuania for those kind of projects. So 25,000 euros is the first payment of the prize. Then the company is working for like a month, for 3 months, and deciding on milestones and objectives for the full-scale solution, but also preparing the pilot. The second payment is 25,000, and we're still in the price part. And then they are going into negotiated contract without publication for the full-scale solution. So based on this price part learnings, they develop a contract specification, and the award is the contract for creating the full-scale solution. And so, talking about the organization of the design contest, I already mentioned the first part, and an independent panel of experts should carry the evaluation of the proposals, and this ensures the evaluation are objective. And it's not only like in the jury, we always have not only people from the public sector organization, but also from some companies who are not participating in this procurement, just so you have tech experts in the field of AI or whatever other like technical solutions. Jury not only evaluates the solution itself, but also compliance with proposed criteria such as innovation, user friendliness, sustainability. I mentioned you can have here very flexible criteria of evaluation. So at the beginning, we're going into defining the existing challenge. So it should be formulated very openly to provide the information about current situation and the desired situation. But the specific technological solution should be not mentioned and should be provided by the startup or the innovative SME. And the challenge should identify the key features that you're expecting the solution to have. Also, who are the potential users? It's good to include the potential users and users at this stage while defining the challenge. And also, if you have some data it would be good to share it at this stage with the companies, so they can also, while preparing the proposal, they can even do some mock-up sometimes. Then while preparing, you can conduct a market consultation and discuss this potential procurement with the suppliers. It also helps them to prepare for the future procurement. And terms and conditions should be developed to define the boundaries of the project, but not to limit the possibility of different solutions. And I already mentioned the additional value of market consultations. It allows more participants to then afterwards participate in the design contest, because you already announce your problem and announce that you'll be publishing this procurement. And to attract more suppliers, it's recommended to prepare the terms and conditions in English. Although we see that AI solutions, AI translate solutions like even ChatGPT or DeepL work well enough, it's good to have at least to allow the suppliers to prepare the proposals in English. And we see that in many cases, if the design contests are quite open, we see companies from abroad coming both to Lithuania, but also when those procurements are launched in other countries, we see Lithuanian companies participating because they already know this procurement method. You should announce it. This is a Lithuanian version, Central Public Procurement Information System. And also we encourage to allow an international procurement, allow it be to an international procurement. Of course, the process is longer, but then you can get more very interesting ideas from abroad. So you invite participants to submit their ideas. In many cases, like we are using very different friendly startup hubs and all the potential methods to invite as many participants as possible, so you can actually get very interesting solutions to participate in the procurement. And the tenders, of course, should be submitted by the laws of that country through the IT systems. And it's also very good to, if you're allowing international companies to participate, to have some playbook how to participate, like how to register into the IT system of your country and how to submit the proposal, because even for the companies in our own countries, it's difficult, and while thinking about countries from abroad, it can be even more difficult. One very important thing, which should be also communicated to the providers, that one part of the tender, so this description of the potential solution, should be anonymous. So if they use their company name on the company paper or in the text, or they use the name of the solution where you can understand what company provided this proposal, they will be disqualified. So it's really, really important to communicate that, because this is how those proposals are being evaluated. So after evaluating, so you evaluate the ideas with the jury, and then you can award cash prizes. In Lithuania, if we see that there is just one great idea, and we have like 8,000 euros for cash prizes, so 5,000 euro for the best idea, and then 3,000 and 1,000 for second and third place. Those awards which were not used, if there will be some, they can be added to the contract value. And then the winner of the procurement may be invited to participate in negotiated procedure without publication of a contract notice. And then you're signing a contract, yeah, you can go into prototyping the pilot solution or to final solution. As I've mentioned, both the prototype and the final version of the solution may be an object of the contract. And here are some examples of the challenges we worked in Lithuania. So you understand the scope of the problems you can use this procurement method to. We worked with Communication Regulatory Authority on making internet safer by detecting illegal content, child pornography on the internet, how to crawl Lithuanian websites and find those images. And we had a great collaboration with Lithuanian startup Oxylabs, who decided to create this solution pro bono. And this was actually, they are now winning many prizes abroad, because this was the first time worldwide where this kind of solution was being introduced. Our Consumer Protection Authority was looking for a way to detect unsafe products on the web, which are like marked unsafe. We know that they shouldn't be being sold, but they are still being sold on the marketplace, different marketplaces. So Scottish startups Vistalworks created a tool to detect that using AI solutions. We worked with the BISA school in Šiauliai district municipality, where they were looking for a way to use ChatGPT potential to create personalized lectures material for pupils, which would help teacher for each student have different tasks or different exams or tests based on what they are good at or what they like. For example, if you know that student is not very good at math, but he loves music, maybe he shouldn't be counting cars, but should count guitars. So this is very basic example, but this is what this solution was also presented by BC Line, Lithuanian company, and now being scaled into now the solution, full scale of the solution is being procured by the Ministry of Education in Lithuania, and will be available shortly in many schools, because it was a very successful pilot. Vilnius City Municipality was looking for a way to use satellite data and AI to understand where should new green places be introduced in the city, but also to check if the building companies who got the permit to build something are not don't have any illegal cuttings of the trees, and they wanted to see this in real time. So this was also one of our very successful pilots. We worked with Lithuanian police to use they were looking a way to predict where should be police forces dislocated, so the reaction time is as fast as possible. They had actually more than 10 years of data where the police forces were being dislocated, where different calls where did they have to go and how much time it took them. So based on this historical data, this model was created, and the police forces are like the Lithuanian police is using it now for a few years. This solution. Another one also about using AI and satellite imagery. We have bisons, European bisons in Lithuania, and they are walking in herds, and they are damaging crops of the farmers. So we are looking for a way how to calculate this damage done to the farmers, and so state understands how much money they need to pay for the farmers for this damage being caused by bisons or by some other animals, or like, I don't know, by flooding, by some very heavy wind. So this can be used for different reasons. And I've also mentioned GovTech for All project, so EU GovTech Incubator, where we are testing this procurement method now in some other countries, so Sweden, Spain, Greece, and Lithuania. You can see here there are challenges. They are all related to the energy efficiency, and in some cases, so Lithuania, Sweden, and Catalonia are over with their procurements. Madrid and Kalamata municipality are now preparing to run this kind of procurements. But through this project, we will not only test this procurement method in more than one country, so we'll see how it works in other countries and other regulations, but we're also going to have some lessons learned and some like framework how to run this procurement on pan-European level. So I think that sometime in next spring we're going to publish it, and also with some tender documents from other countries, so others who want to test this procurement method can do it more easily. So that's it from my side, and I'm waiting for the questions.
So thank you so much, Kamila, for this very interesting and comprehensive presentation. I think it's very useful to open our minds to new ways to procure innovation, which are do not particularly diverge from innovation procurement, the traditional one, but complement it, opening to context where the solutions are more mature, the TRLs are high, or there are some restrictions in the legislation that prevent the use in some cases of this instrument. So you have the opportunity today for our participants to learn from Kamila, who has a lot of experience, and you can see her as a reference in this field. So you can also approach her in case of questions. And we have seen a very diverse number of examples that can inspire ourselves when we face the challenge to procure something innovative. Now it's time for the audience if you want to intervene and make any questions. So the opportunity is now, and we are fully open to receive your questions. So you can either, as I said before, intervene, or you can post the question in the chat.
So I see two questions already. I can answer those.
Okay.
So talking about a charter of code of conduct for the independent evaluators, we are not running the procurements ourselves. It's the organizations. GovTech Lab Lithuania is giving funding for the organizations to run those procurements, and they decide. And in many organizations, like, they have separate rules. So some are using some sort of charters with the evaluators. In other cases, they have just It also depends if the evaluators are working pro bono or they are being paid. So it's case by case, I would say, but we're trying to make it as fair as possible, so there are no ties, but it's on the behalf of the, like, you know, it's the responsibility of the organization who is running this procurement. And the main hurdles, I think that if this procurement is run by the first time, it's of course really difficult to work with procurement, with people working directly in the public procurement department. So they are actually eager to use it, and you know, they always try to make the technical specification very very direct and very specified, I would say. And here you should have a functional specification rather than technical. So I think that this mindset, changing the mindset, is for us, for our team, the biggest like difficulty. But on the other hand, sometimes the scaling part is being difficult. Sometimes when you evaluate the solutions anonymously, you can actually, you don't know which team will gonna work. We're here talking about the, I presented a simplified version of this procurement, and it's enough for the pilot solution. But sometimes if you'd like to procure the full scale solution, it's good to have another more steps, like I've mentioned Spain. They have more steps and they are able to evaluate if this company is actually able to provide is like to provide the full scale solution and has the capacity to do so. How do we change the mindset? So we are doing a lot of workshops. We have the Innovation Academy, where we are inviting many people from public sector, and we are presenting not only this kind of procurement method, but also we have many workshops on what's innovation, why it's important, because yeah, we understand that risking your own money or budget, like state budget, it's difficult, but then changing the mindset so they have, and also creating a space for experimentation in public sector, we see this is very, very important. And I have like, I've not been like, I worked with 2 municipalities from those GovTech for All project in Lithuania, and those were the only procurements I helped actually to organize. Because with others, my colleagues are working with that directly. And I spent hours on the phone with the procurement department, convincing them that it's actually worth having an open procurement, that it's worth running it this way. But we also see that after the organization is runs it once, they are eager to run it again, because they see like it's not very difficult process to run. There are more difficulties with the evaluation criteria, understanding how to put them, how to evaluate them, but also they see the added value of the process, and also getting many different ideas, evaluating many different ideas. They see like it's easier for them to build a business case for a full-scale solution than when they see the full scale what market can offer.
So you had to break resistance to at the beginning. Are there more questions from the people in the room? Yeah, we have one hand raised from Anita. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm listening in, and I find it also very interesting. So how were you supported to run this? Was it supported by the state, or did you just bounce on the door and say, "Hello, I'm Kamila, and I want to do something different with your organization"? How did it look like?
So at the beginning, I mentioned we run the first few cohorts outside the procurement framework, and there were some organizations who are really eager to be innovative. And so like, of course, we're sending the emails to all organizations, and we're having this open call. But then after those 3 very successful iterations outside the procurement framework, we saw that like we thought that organizations will kind of come up with their own budget to run this, and we are very, very wrong. Because like we understand it's a risk, because it's experimentation. You don't know if the procurement will work. Then we've got state budget to fund those small scale projects. And now GovTech Lab Lithuania has run 107 challenges. We worked with more than 70 organizations in Lithuanian public sector. So now we have the skill set and mindset built, with just like finding some budget, state budget to fund those small scale procurements.
We have one more question. Matthias Groot, the floor is yours. Yeah.
So yes, hello. I will have a question about the scope of the contract, like when you go into the negotiating procedure, so to speak. And does that entail like a long-term contract, or is it more a developing phase? Can you just tell me a little bit more about that?
So in Lithuania, it's a developing phase. It's a pilot. So it's for the pilot solution, and actually depending on the technology, like every provider would suggest what they can do with this amount of money, with this amount of time. Due to the state budget regulations, we need to finalize the projects until the end of the year, to spend the budget. So then, like, we know that we have, let's say, 6 months, and we have 50,000 euros, or like 45 after prizes. And then every supplier suggests what they can do with this amount of money and this amount of time. And sometimes, like, of course, another difficulty with public sector is to, they want to procure the full solution, So talking about like how we get them on board, when we started giving funding, of course, we have so many organizations being eager to come and to procure full-scale solution. So also we need to working a lot with them, so they understand that with 50,000 euros or like 45,000 euros and like 4 months or 6 months, it's impossible to create a full-scale solution. So we are working now only with pilots, and then it will depend on how much time and money we have at that point.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kamila. There's one more question. Cordina Lewis.
Hi, good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much.
Or
Very
Luis
well done.
Cordina, sorry.
That's all right, don't worry. My question, please, is how do you balance the technical specifications that the contracting authority thinks that should be within the solution, without choking the innovation part from the bidders? And the second one would be, please, what about the award criteria? How do you end up to draw up the award criteria, knowing very well the various different solutions that may be submitted?
It's a very difficult questions, and it's case by case. Talking about the second question, I'm going to start with that. The evaluation criteria, it's going case by case. This is why we also encourage the market consultation. So also some providers can say like what's feasible, what's not feasible. I actually can, like if you add me on LinkedIn, I can share with you some examples of the procurement documents, how it looks. And talking about your first question, so evaluation criteria will be different for each procurement, of course, and then you need to have some expert in the topic, someone who can understand what the market can offer. But of course, we try to make organizations not to use everyone now wants to use AI, and we are trying to to delete this from the procurement, because maybe there is another way to solve this challenge. And maybe I'm going to some more details, but there is an example from Scotland where the organization was looking for, they have many rural areas, and they were looking for a solution which would help to announce that the flooding is coming, so everyone will evacuate, you know. And they could procure a system for like billions of euros, you know, for that. But actually, this was a very open procurement, and the guy who has an IT company, but he saw that on TV, and he thought about the Parktronic. So it's a small device. When you're parking a car, it starts beeping. And he thought, what if we put this, and it costs like few euros. What if we put this under the bridge like this? So when the water rises, it can send some messages to the citizens, and it actually worked. So it's River Track, I think the startup is called, and he created a startup from scratch for that. So this is why we are trying to also answering your first question, you know, we're trying to make the technical specification not the technical one but the functional one. Your like organization is telling what's their problem, what they want to achieve, what APIs they are using, because it's very important, you know, like, you know, what the APIs would be needed, what systems they are using now, because we know APIs cost a lot. It can cost like more than half of the price of the solution. And then to make it as open as possible, so actually the innovation can come. So I hope I answered your question. It's a very broad one. I can talk about it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There is one more question in the chat from Davor Mersman. Kamila, is there a ceiling to the size of the negotiated follow-up?
So if we're talking about the price, yes, we have it, like you need to have it in the procurement. But then, I don't know, maybe I don't understand the question fully.
Yes, maybe Davor can give us more details. You can still write in the chat.
Yes. Hi, I'm Davor. Maybe this is easier. So yeah, the question was, and I'm thinking of a specific case. So let's say you have a design competition, outcome 3 winners. You go with number 1 or 2, whatever the system is. The follow-up contract can that be any size? Because I imagine, you know, domains vary in terms of the, you know, how much stuff costs. So is there some kind of a limit to I imagine the first part it would have, because you're kind of, but then the follow-up, considering it's contingent on the first part, is that still under some ceiling or not?
I see Anita has and I think that no, like it depends, and the size of the follow-up contract should be understood during the first stage, you know, while deciding, like looking at the pilot and understanding what the full-scale solution should look like. Depending on it, like I know just about those open innovation programs all around the globe, and in most cases they have some ceiling, you know, but if they are giving the funding. But if the funding is being given, like, you know, by the organization, there shouldn't be, like in Scotland it's up to 50,000 for this piloting part, and then they're giving up to 250,000 euros for the full scale. But they are using pre-commercial procurement, but they are running the similar process. So, but yeah, maybe Anita has something to add here.
No, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that the directive, they have an obligation above a certain amount of money. And now there's one set specifically for the design contest. You need to announce the design contest at European level. So the height of the contest or the worth of the contract as you publicize you can only do it national. Sometimes you need to do it European if it exceeds some thresholds. Some contracting authorities want European traction, and they will publicize in any case on the TED or even social media, etc., to attract suppliers because they want the best solution. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I know for 100% sure that for services, you can have this follow-up negotiated procedure as long as you announce it in the proper ways for any amount. I'm not so sure if it is for works. I think for works it's got that you have to again put the infrastructure after the design contest on the market through a contract. But for services, for sure, I think the amount of money you want to spend decides the way you need to publicize it, but there's no threshold to it.
No.
Or no cap.
And then just a small follow-up, since the camera is open. One of the things that I know from kind of working with the city of Antwerp back in the day is that they had this buy from startups program, which was also kind of open-ended. It had some standardization and let's say API calling and so forth requirements. But what you saw was that the nuggets of the good ideas would come from different suppliers sometimes. So do you have kind of experience, because you've done a lot, in kind of merging ideas and kind of negotiating with many parties to come to a single solution? It'd be really interesting to have some insight into that.
So we have several, and I think that the Lithuanian police example I showed was also co-created. The solution was co-created by the university and one tech company. We had a challenge with Bank of Lithuania, where also the startup had a very emerging technology, and then but they didn't have the capacity for the for implementation of the full-scale solution. So they collaborated with big IT company. Yes.
Yeah, but did they do that as one submission? So so it was a consortium. Here
yes,
I'm talking about you learn kind of during the competition, right? Also as an authority. So can you then blend, let's say, various participants? Do you have experience?
Yes. So in this case, in our case, no, because you have just like you sign the contract with one supplier. But this is something what this GovTech for All project will look into in the next stage of pilots, starting next summer. We're gonna have, because we see that if the pilot is successful, sometimes it's difficult to implement for startup on their own, or there is the big tech company who owns the whole system of, let's say, some municipality, and they need to how to merge those two things. So we'll be looking into that. There are some cases, but we haven't looked into that in many details. In many cases, they the cases I know, they were coming as a consortium to the procurement, but then we're gonna look how to combine startups and big tech companies for implementation, for scaling the pilot solutions. So we're gonna have some lessons learned in early 2027.
I'm afraid that we are running out of time. So if we want to be on time, I would leave one more question, time for one more question if someone has. So don't be shy.
And I already mentioned my LinkedIn account, so if you find me there, I can answer all the questions or send some example of the documents so you understand what we're here talking about.
Yeah, before we go on to wrap up, I have two questions. I hope that you can clarify, Kamila. The first one is, when it's not worth to use this method of procurement, when would you say that it's not worth to use the design contest?
So I think that, as in many cases with innovation procurement, when you know what to want to procure, or when the solution is on the market. So this is an open procurement method when you don't know what the market can offer. And this is how we decide which procurements to fund and which not to fund. If we see that they are having some examples of what they want to achieve of the solutions, then we are not funding it, because it's not worth to run this process.
Thank you. And last, where can we find out more? Where to gain competences and more knowledge and about how to run the design contest process? What would you recommend?
The funny thing is that the knowledge and the expertise is already there. And because like at least in municipalities, every municipality has been running or is running the design contest for architecture. So the knowledge is there, just this small switch of the mindset that you can also procure the tech solutions with the same procurement method. You're procuring like schools, I don't know, some sculptures for the mayor or whatever. The expertise and knowledge is already there, just this small switch of the mindset that the tech solutions can be evaluated in similar manner.
Very clear. So thank you very much, Kamila. Just to finalize, I will share one final slide that we have regarding one final slide to for those who are curious and want to know more about the program. Here are our social networks. We have the LinkedIn account. We have the community platform where we upload news and different resources and materials. It's hosted inside the public procurement platform, and we invite all of you to register. And if you have further questions, you can always contact us in the Procure Innovation EU at silocompany.com. We'll leave you a QR code in the chat so you can answer to our quality survey. We thank you very much for your presence, and we want to see you, and we hope to see you in our next webinar, which will be organized on the 10th of December. You can find out more in our LinkedIn. So thank you very much to everyone, and have a good day.